Welcome to Ramble. This is a series where I talk about things I like completely unapologetically, and I just kind of go. Today I'm talking about Our Dreams at Dusk. I love it. I hope you guys will love it too, because I'm trying to convince you to read it. Goodbye. Not goodbye. Let's go. Hello, it is finally time for me. Sorry. My little dog is here. You can't see her, but I swear she's here. Look up here. Do you see her little head? Oh, there she is. Come join me. Oh, there she is. Alright. Anyways, it is finally time for me to talk about one of my favorite series of all time. Do you see this girl? Do you see this girl? What are you doing? I'm trying to film a video right now. Don't look at my notes, it's embarrassing. Anyways, it's finally time for me to talk about one of my favorite series of all time, Our Dreams at Dusk. It is so sweet and so emotional, and I cry every single time I watch it. Girl, what's up? She's on a mission today. Anyways, I cry every single time I read it, and I'm trying to convince you guys to read it because I want more people to talk about it with. It's really short, it's only 4 volumes. I got the other 3 right here. As you can see, I went a little crazy with my little tabs. I have a lot to say. But yeah, so I am going to start by just talking about the first volume, just kind of walking through it and giving y'all a bit of an insight of what to expect. Big trigger warnings, by the way, that this is, like, it does start off with the main character trying to commit suicide. So be ready for that. And this is about a bunch of gay people, so you're going to see a lot of gay pain, unfortunately, but you're going to see a lot of gay joy also. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start with volume 1. I'm not going to touch the other 3 volumes, by the way. Maybe I'll allude to something happening, but I'm not going to talk too much about what goes on in there, just because I want you guys to read it and enjoy the same kind of love and joy that I felt when I was reading them. It's funny, I was gonna just read the first volume for this video, but then I ended up reading all of them just because it's that good, okay? It's good. So yeah, it starts with our main character. His name's Tasuku, and some kids from school, I guess, were going through his phone, which is really rude, by the way. You should, like, ask someone. Honestly, you shouldn't go through people's phones probably at all unless it's, like, with them. I don't know. I don't go through people's phones. That's weird. So these kids go through his phone and they realize he is looking up some very not safe for work things about dudes. So they're like, "Oh my god, you're gay?" And he's like, "What? No." And then you see him later and he's like, they live in a really hilly town. So he's at the railing down a cliff and he's like, "Oh man, I feel really trapped." And it heavily implies that he's going to try and kill himself. Next, he sees, like a little ways down, someone else jump. And he, like, loses his mind. He runs down there and he busts into the, what's it called? The building where he saw someone fall and he was like, "There's someone falling." And then the people in the building are just like, "Oh, that's just someone's son. She's going on a walk." All right. So he goes out and looks for her to make sure that she's, like, actually a thing that he saw. And he sees her walking up the stairs to this little, it's like an observatory, but it's an observatory park. It's really cool. And she's buying an ice cream and eating it. And he walks up to her and she's like, "Oh, so you're not gonna jump?" Really cheekily, right? Cheekily? That's not a real word. Moving on. But then she says, "Ooh," and then she says her famous line: "You could tell me anything, but I won't listen." And he just starts to talk and he just dumps all this stuff onto her about how he has a secret and he can't tell anyone. The secret is that he's gay, by the way. If I wasn't clear about that before. Sorry. But yeah, this is the first time we meet someone's son, someone who's going to be really important down the line. She is a ball of mystery. And we really don't find too much about her. Really. But I'll talk about her more later. She's a really interesting character to me. So I definitely, like, if you look at the last volume, all the yellow tabs are the stuff about her, and that was just me trying to piece her together. Yeah, she's a mystery. I like her though. I didn't like her the first time I read it actually, because I thought she was kind of mean, but I've thought more into it now. I'll get into it later, don't worry. But yeah, so when they're up in the observatory, they're talking, he dumps all that on her, and then she finishes her ice cream. And she hands him the ice cream stick, leaves, and as she's leaving, she's like, hey, you should stop by that drop-in house that you're in. Is it called a drop-in house? You should stop by that drop-in center. And you should talk to some of the people there. They might actually listen. And you know, some of them are gay. So first of all, she read him like a book. Like, dang. And second of all, I love the people at the drop-in house, and you'll love them too. So yeah, she leaves. He now has this ice cream stick, which by the way is a winner, so he can go get another ice cream, which he does, which I'm glad he took that opportunity, because I love ice cream. So I hope he does too. So he has his ice cream, and then it goes to the next day. And he walks into class, and of course kids are still staying stuff, not minding their own business, and he just bolts. He just runs out of school without even grabbing his bag or anything. He ends up at the drop-in center. And he busts in, letting in a bush of air, and rustles everybody's clothes up and stuff like that. And he's like, where's someone's son? I need to see someone's son. But she went on her walk, so she's not there at the moment. So he just sits and waits. And he's kind of just looking around the room. He's like, someone here is gay. Who is it? But yeah, he just waits. And then she walks in. She kind of ignores him at first. And they're like, hey, he's here for you. And she's like, oh, okay, come here. And he goes into her room. And she's like, I'm going to work on my thing. And when I'm done, I'm leaving. So you could tell me anything, but I won't listen. Her line. So he does. This is the first time he actually says out loud that he's gay. And someone's son gets up and leaves. And that just breaks him a little bit. So he leaves the room worse than when he got in. And two people in particular, Daichi, who is the girl that I love so much, she's so cute. And the dude, oh, how could I forget his name? I love him. It's something. Utsumi. Utsumi is the dude. And he's like, are you good? I can walk you home if that's cool. And then Daichi's like, hey, you don't look too great. Just take a break on this couch over here. Give it a purpose. And are you good? What is it? But yeah, so Utsumi and Daichi have been introduced. Each of them get their own little arc. We start to learn more about Daichi in this volume, and then more about Utsumi in the next volume. Is it the next? It might be the one after that, actually. But I really do adore him. He's a sweetheart. So yeah, a couple of days pass. We see he's a member of the ping pong club. So he's there with his friend who's like kind of trying to comfort him, but not like in the best way. Like he's trying though, I guess, but he's not doing a great job. And we see he keeps going back to the drop-in center. And this is when we're introduced to Cat Clutter, which is Utsumi and Daichi's little... someone's the one that funds this whole thing. But it's Utsumi and Daichi just renovating all these old houses in the town that they live in, because there was like a huge population drop. So a bunch of old buildings are just kind of rotting there because no one lives there. So they'll tear them down, they'll renovate them, they'll turn them into like a corner store, or sometimes they'll rent them out. Really depends. But yeah, they do that as a hobby, really. Yeah, so Tetsuku comes in and starts to help them with this whole project. They started working on this new house that they've been calling Triangle House. And so he's moving stuff around, and then this girl comes up bringing like water bottles and, provisions. And Daichi's like super friendly with her and stuff, and then she leaves. And Tatsuku's like, hey, who was that? And she's like, oh, that's my wife. Yeah, she's really cool. And she kind of keeps carrying on, and he's like, carrying on too, keeps working. And then he's like, wife, you're the gay. But he's like really subtle about it because he's a really timid kid. And it's really cute. It was a cute little reaction. But yeah, that's Saki. Saki is Daichi's significant other. They've been together for what, maybe a whole year at this point, maybe 2 years, or they've been living together for 2 years. I don't know. They're living, they're dating, they love each other. It's really sweet, and she's really cute. So yeah, she's telling Tasuku about her, and this gets him to think about his own life. If there's anybody he would like, you know, to date like that. And there is. There's this dude on the volleyball team that he's super into. And since he's in the ping pong club, they share the gym, so he, gets to be in the vicinity of him. And he ends up being an important character later, as crushes do. And it's cute. He's yearning. How sweet. But yeah, so the day passed. We actually get to see Daichi and Saki's point of view. Do you want to get down? She needs to get down just a moment. Okay, there she goes. Oh, was I saying? Okay, yeah, so we get to see Daichi's point of view. And she's at home with Saki, and she kind of casually brings up that she told Tasuku about the relationship, and Saki just stops. She's like, why would you tell him about that? Why would you tell anybody about us? Because, okay, so Saki's deal is she hasn't even come out to her parents. She doesn't want anybody to know about anything. And Daichi really wants to live more openly and, you know, be with her wife out in the open without it being like a thing. But, Saki's not ready for that. It's complicated. You know how it is. So, yeah, they have a little bit of an argument, and Saki goes to bed early. So, that sucks. And the next day, Daichi and Tasuku are talking about, their way of life. How Daichi wants to get married one day. And Tasuku is like, I really admire that about you. How, like, open you are about all of this. And Daichi's like, yeah, well, I'm just being kind to myself. And Saki walks in and hears this. And she's like, what? So you mean I'm not being kind to myself? And, like, the air in there is awkward. And Saki keeps going on. She's like, well, dude, you're gay. You know how it is, right? To want to, like, hide this bit. And he's a closeted kid, so he's like, whoa, hold up. No, I'm not. But as he's saying this, someone's son walks behind him and is like, oh, okay, so you're just gonna go back to wanting to kill yourself. And it's weird. The energy in the room is atrocious. So he bails. He just goes home because he's like, I can't handle this right now. And so, okay, we cut to a couple days later, and it's at the observatory park again. Saki and Daichi are there. It looks like they've made up and everything. And Tasuku comes across them. So they're all eating ice cream. They talk about this, like, orange ice cream that just looks so good. It's like this orange soft serve. Wow. Ice cream is one of the best things in the world to me. I love it. Moving on. But yeah, so they made up. They kind of start talking about what happens. And Saki's like, I guess I kind of would want to have a wedding someday too. And they're like really happy and in love, and Tasuku's smiling, and he's like, man, y'all, I want to be in love too. That would be so great. So yeah, it's really a moment of validation for him because he has been really repressing some of this stuff. There was a lot of self-hate happening. So at least he got this like little window of joy of what could possibly be out there for him. I really feel for this kid. Can you tell? Yeah. So the conversation ends with Daichi turning to Tasuku being like, "Hey, so Triangle House, that house we've been working on? I want you to decide what it's gonna become. Like, yeah, that's your job now." And he's like, "Oh well, okay. I have this responsibility now." So there's that. Yeah, and then okay. So then it cuts to later, and it's all of them working on this house, and Tasuku starts to finally open up to Daichi after, a couple events happen. But I'll let you read that part. But he finally tells her that he's gay. And he is sobbing, by the way. This kid, he cries so much. I feel so much for him. This poor kid. But yeah, he comes out to her, and she, of course, is being so supportive and lovely. And that's where the volume ends. We do get a little brief introduction to a character that's going to be really important in the next volume. But that's it. So with that, I'm going to tell you about the things I love the most about this whole series, actually. Because there is a lot. But I'm only going to talk about a little bit because I don't want to ruin all of it for you, you know? So, our author, their name is Kamatani. They like to use a lot of like visual metaphors. It'll be really subtle sometimes, just like a brief panel of something happening, and like it's not happening in real life, but for us, we get what's going on. This is a metaphor here. So, we'll get like a little panel, and then we'll get these like huge 2-page spreads of this like crazy beautiful illustration of just something happening. Of course, not really happening because this here is all a metaphor, but you get it. I'm just gonna give you one example, and it has to do with Tasuku. So when he first busts into the building, he lets in all this air, right? Just this rush of stuff. Everybody's all rustled up. And then later, when he's resting after that conversation with someone's son, he's on the couch, and he finally gets to exhale. And that exhale forms like this swirling cloud around the building. And like we know a song is also playing at the same time because the older gentleman there, who's also very lovely, decided to give him the gift of a song, which was, I'm going to think of this off the top of my head, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to pop it up here. I'm pretty sure it was Tchaikovsky's Winter Daydreams, the first movement. So this song is playing, the transition panels into this big panel, they have like a glimpse into like the outside, so we hear like crickets and frogs and cicadas and stuff, and then we see that big gigantic cloud. It is a feeling. It's really interesting how like appeals to all the senses. We've got sound, we've got like our feelings, we can see what's going on. Oh, it's so delightful. It is so wonderful, and I love it so much. And that's just one example, especially in the second volume with this new character that's introduced. We've got a lot of fish metaphors. I love fish. I love this series. It's so good. That's all I'm going to talk about that because I don't want to ruin everything. Moving on. I want to talk about someone's son. She's really interesting. She's really unattainable. And the way that they want to portray this unattainability is through someone's son literally flying away all the time. Isn't that interesting? Let me show you something. You see my tabs, right? The pink tabs are every single time someone's son flies away. And we got some more. And we got some more. A little less in this one, though. And we got some more. It looks like the last volume is the winner for the most time someone's son flies away. But yeah, she is someone that they seem to have like projected this mysterious like aura onto her. I just did magic. So she's like this untouchable thing. She is so beyond us. How could we ever possibly understand her? Well, it's not until a newcomer comes in. This happens much later though. This doesn't happen in her first volume. So I guess, spoilers. Yeah. It isn't until this newcomer comes in that they're like, hey, someone's son's a person too. You guys act like she's this weird, mysterious person, and I guess I don't know why you do this. And they're like, well, she's a mystery. But yeah, the last volume is definitely the one that touches the most on who someone's son is, and yeah, who someone's son is, how they perceive themselves, and how the others perceive them. And then also we get to see a moment where someone's son actually kind of just touches the ground and expresses a moment of like vulnerability, and it makes me really soft. I don't know, she's really interesting to me. But overall, what I'm trying to say here is read the series. I really love it. I really hope you guys would love it too. And Daichi, best girl. And I heard Utsumi, best boy. But yeah, that's it for this video. Did I convince you? Did I not convince you? I hope I convinced you. Take care, y'all. Look at that. Mimikyu time.